Hello everybody, welcome back to B&D Railroad. Today we are going to do the 2026 layout tour. We haven't done one of these since 2024, and I've decided that it's probably time, or more rather that I should do these once a year and keep an update on the channel of what goes on with the layout. I haven't been doing so because I get so busy with work and stuff, but I think with everything that's been changing, I should either do it in little sections and then do one big one at the end of the year and just show what's developed. So since it hasn't been done since 2024, there's been a lot of changes like scenery, ballast, the grass, lights, the mountain, movement in the layout, and just a bunch of small features. Now, you've definitely seen some of this in the videos that I've posted, whether it's a short or the long videos that I do every Wednesday. But I want to feature it more specifically here in the layout tour for 2026. And then hopefully by 2027 there'll be a great difference. I am doing this in March of 26. I'm going to release it the same month. And with the start of this, I'm going to change the content that I do, the weekly, the Wednesday videos. I'm going to make them more. My goal is to display a variety of engines, whether it's HOG or Oscale, which is the most of the stuff you see on the channel. And I'm going to feature engines that, new or old, go through them, because some people might want to look at them and see what the features are before they buy it at a show or buy it online from a dealer, and otherwise, whether it's new or old. Same with the G stuff. I'm going to have, hopefully this summer, a G layout tour. I did not make one last year. I should have. I was just featuring some of the stuff we have for the B&D Railroad outside with the Garden Railroad, because that has about 300 to 400 foot of track, so there's a good area out there, and I just never got to making the layout tour. So with that being said, let's get into it and show the new features and some of the old and what the plan is kind of for this year, as long as I can get to it and have enough time to. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll get right into it. So let's start with the station. A big thing in this area is the ballast went down, the switch wires have been put in. They're not wired up yet. I'm going to get hopefully that this year. If I do, I'm hoping. The lights have been lit. The people on the station, which I do believe were there in the first update, but I could be wrong. We put the stickers on the station for the signs that go with the station. And then we also changed out the water tower. We had a Lionel water tower that was a little, well over 60 years old, I do believe. And with everything else in the layout, it didn't match, and we wanted something new, a little bit more detailed for the layout. So we came across this MTH station at a good price, or MTH, I'm sorry, water tower at a good price, and it fit actually perfectly. Actually, I think I had to push the station over a tiny bit, but it still worked good. So that is the main thing here, and we added little tufts of grass throughout the ballast, but I like how it looks in this area. Over on the other side of the layout, it's a tad darker here, so I apologize. This is our lumber mill area / siding, just like a work thing on the layout. And this was designed just for more of a siding and then have operating cars. I don't know if the lumber mill is going to stay there, right where the General Mills car is, over here. I have a nice new ice loader station, icing station, and I'm debating whether it's going to stay a log or the lumber mill or switch over to that, or maybe something different, maybe just a loading platform, just so it would be different over here. I haven't decided yet, but a big part was the lights over here, the street lights in the background, which were the new Lionel LED ones. The yard lights were the new LED double lights. They aren't as bright as I would hope. When I put them in, I thought they'd be a little bit brighter. So maybe I should have put the double row ones over here. But, you know, I think it does well, especially in the night runs. I like how it lights up the area, because it's not going to be completely bright like on the real railroad. I do like how I did the trees. There's a mix of taller, regular trees, and then the shorter stuff, and then the grass and the bushes, mix of Scenic Express, JTT trees, I think it is, and other ones. And then there's some deer on the other side of the lumber mill that I gotta put back up. They got knocked down when I bumped the table by accident. I gotta glue them down. So I think and this is coming out of our hill, which we'll go over in it later on in the video. So I think it does fit this quite well. Over here, which is a major scenery part, we have the Lionel toy store, which is lit up and does have the activation buttons, but they're not on right now. The K-Line Diner, which does smoke and sound. The only thing I have hooked up in here is the smoke, which is a donut scent, and it does smell great. I love running it, especially on an early morning, just coming down here running the layout. Then behind the diner is the cemetery, and this was something we wanted to add in the areas where we are from. There's a few cemeteries along the rail, and I just thought it was an important feature. Next to the Lionel's train store, we have the Mark's water tower. I do believe it's Mark's, the bubbling one, and it still bubbles. It is an original tower. It hasn't been replaced, and it works great. Sometimes it's finicky, but it is a staple from both my father's childhood and mine, and my grandfather's. So we wanted to keep it on the layout, and then the fact that it works is even better. And then we have the siding, which isn't powered yet. It's actually switched off. It is powered, but it's mostly holding the older set, my grandfather's older set. It's more of this display. Eventually, it's gonna be more, and then where I put the two hotbox cars just off the side with the speeder. I do change it out once in a while. It is just a storage thing for me, but it does add to the layout. This view is seen a lot in the channel, especially with the shorts, and it is my favorite section of the layout, I have to say. Just the amount of stuff going on. It's not too much, in my opinion, and I like it. I like the Disney theater that came out, I think 2023, 2024, with the animated sign, and the marquee sign with the new street lights. It adds to it. The custom bumpers I did, they're not super amazing, but I like how they turned out. I wanted to be a little bit more darker, but once I got done, because there's about 3 of them on the layout, I think it makes good for a dead-end road bumper that you can sometimes see depending on your area. It's next to the water tower that does move. It is not hooked up right now. I haven't decided if I'm going to, because it's so close to the track. It doesn't line up with the track. It's more of just a display thing. And then we have the street lights in the background, the diner, the train store. It's just one of my favorite spots. It is a little tight on the inner rail here next to the building. It doesn't hit or anything with our cars, but it is a little tighter, and I do know that. But it's part of just my train room isn't as big as I could be, so I'm making it work. So the next part of the Oscale part is this small till on the layout. Now, when we designed this, we did use foam, and we cut it, and we wanted to make it look rough and kind of look partly due to, blasting with dynamite and stuff. So we did more of a rough cut, even with the edges in the outside. And then once we did that, we painted it gray, and it actually worked out well. The paint we used melted it a little bit, which I think added to it. And then after it dried, I took and glued, similar to a track ballast glue ratio. I would glue it and then sprinkle the Seating Express foam grass on there that I use for grass and that people use for trees and stuff. And then I would sprinkle on, and then I would eventually add more tufts of other things. And I think it turned out really well. It's not your typical thing, but you do see it sometimes, and I'm a big fan of how it turned out. It is another big part of my layout, and it is something you guys will see in shorts and big videos. You see both ends, and I love how it turns out. Again, my layout's not huge, it's because of the room I have, but I am a big fan of how this turned out, and I think it looks good. And then back through here, you have another siding. And then we'll talk about the HO at the end. My layout isn't operations, it's more of a fun layout. So we're going to have HO too, because I do collect both. And it's not meant to be like a super operational thing. It's meant to just be fun for me to come down here and watch and run stuff. And just have fun with people that come over and run stuff, or come to visit and see the layout and go from there. Lastly, we have the yard, and it is quite full right now. I have to take down these Blue Comet cars that were featured in an earlier video this year. Unfortunately, the engine that came out actually in 2025 had an issue, so it's being repaired under warranty. So that's why I'm going to put these away, because there's no point in having it out with the thing. But I have, I think, 4 or 5 yard spots here, and then over there is going to be a raise going to a different part of the layout that's not yet built. It isn't happening this year. I was kind of hoping to get to it, but it will. And then out in front here, we took out the 2 lines, the extra lines that were out here, and expanded the board. Here we're going to have an HO yard, and it was set up, but it got messy when I was doing stuff down here. And we're going to have, I think, 4 or 5 lines to hold engines and stuff and cars, just to run an HO around. Like I said, my layout isn't designed to be a serious operations layout for either O or HO. It's meant for me to have fun and just run stuff. That's the kind of trains I like to do. I know there's lots of people who like to do operations. I like to watch operations, and I always like to see the stuff, but I'm not one to run it unless I'm invited to something like that. I'm more of a sit down and watch the trains run kind of person, and building the layout. Going off of what I said about the HO, it is coming around here so far. It is all running. We are going to be running Digitracks on a system, but mind my messing in with the notepad, and it's going to go up around the thing. I also was thinking about having some on 30 engines in cars, so it would match the Oscale stuff, but they can have issues, and I'm just honestly doing it for HO and how I have it spaced out. So, you know, it is something that's going to be happening. I was hoping to get the layout done this year, and it might still, and if it does, there'll be another layout tour. But that being said, yeah, that's the layout. So, thank you guys for watching this layout tour. I am going to have maybe a 5-minute roll of the stuff, running all 3 lines, I think, just to give you a demonstration. I'm not going to run the yard since it's so packed this year. And thank you guys for all your support with the channel. I'm going to do this next year in January or February for sure for the 2027 tour. Hopefully there's a lot more to show, and I'm going to update as time goes on of little things that we do from now on. Like the lighting I could have done, and I should have, but I just got so busy with work and I didn't do it. And there's just a lot of things that I could show you. You know, even the switch motors. They were simple. I could have recorded doing them and uploading them, but I'm more of a show you when it's done, running type of enjoying the layout. So thank you guys for watching. I know this video is going to be long, but I'll put some clips of the stuff running. Thank you guys for watching, and please come back for more. We hope you enjoy.